Praise be, bitches! Welcome to InsaneLayne Reviews, the world of Hulu's The Handmaid's Tale, Part 2. Coming at ya. Let's break it down. Fertility.
A wonderful ritual. Once a month, on fertile days, the handmaid shall lie between the legs of the commander's wife. The two of you will become one flesh, one flower, waiting to be seeded.
Okay, I've been waiting to dive into this for a while. The subject of fertility is obviously very important in Gilead. It plays a very important role. It kind of is why they justify doing things. But I have so many questions. This is a fundamentalist society, okay, and that maybe explains some things. But it also raises a lot of questions. A society based on religion explains why in vitro fertilization and fertility drugs aren't used. Actually, no, it doesn't, because these things are bad enough, the situation is desperate enough, that those things should either be being used, or there needs to be an explanation why not. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying those things are guaranteed baby makers, and they do carry risks, even fatal ones. But it is such an obvious avenue if the problem is infertility that I can't not think about this, and it's not addressed in Season 1. Nor is it commented on during Aunt Lydia's rant against all the evils of the world. She didn't mention or speak against any of these things, so I really need some flashback scenes to cover this. Second glaring point is how are ceremony nights chosen? Supposedly the ceremony takes place on the night when chances are best for conception, meaning ideally when June is ovulating. But how do they know when that is? A woman can ovulate at any time during her cycle, so if they're just counting days and taking a best guess, that's really, really inaccurate. And there are very simple, non-invasive ways that could tell them exactly. Just like pregnancy tests, there's a stick you can pee on to see if you're ovulating. Why not use these? Why is this not mandatory to improve the chances? And we know they do care about improving the chances because this.
Chances are better if I lay on my back afterwards.
This is an area where the show's lack of background philosophy is really starting to show. If they don't give a reason for not using these things, then it starts to look like plot holes or that just really dumb mistakes. But I am keeping my fingers crossed that in Season 2 they will fill out the world more and we will maybe get some answers to some of these things. Birthing! In Episode 2, Birth Day, we finally see how births are handled in Gilead. And it's really something. Starting with the handmaids being rounded up and brought to a luxurious private home where Janine is giving birth and the wife is doing this.
Such a special day. Such a blessed day. We're right here with you.
This is as crazy as it looks. It really is. And it's intended to be. It is an intentionally inflicted, state-sanctioned dose of crazy. Since this isn't really explained in the show, I have to turn to the book to really discuss it. The way it's supposed to work is that the handmaid and the wife are linked in common cause, so they become so close to each other that when a pregnancy occurs, they both experience it. This is called pseudocyesis, or sympathetic imagined pregnancy. It is a real thing, and it is a real mystery. A woman who is not pregnant can show and feel all the symptoms and stages of pregnancy, including the big belly. And if you think I'm fake news, Google it. So this is what's supposed to be happening. And if it doesn't, the wife is expected to fake it. Faking a fake pregnancy. But in the world of the book, if she's not feeling these things, then maybe she's not worthy. Maybe she's unloyal. So it's very important for everyone to play along. Then we have poor, crazy Janine. No hospitals or epidurals for her. Nope, this is childbirth ye old-fashioned way. I know that is not a knock on natural childbirth. If that's what you want, you do you, boo. But it should be the mother's choice. And in this context, I mean the mother that's actually giving birth. But Janine gets an aunt with an ancient curing cone poking her in the stomach, and Aunt Lydia holding her hand, while dozens of handmaids chant Lamaze breathing at her and walk her around. And when the moment comes and the baby's ready to come out, she's taken to a really unsteady-looking birthing chair, while the wife is hoisted up behind her, fake laboring in her ear. And once the baby leaves Janine's body, the aunts make sure it's breathing and whatever else they can do with no monitoring or testing or medical training. Before the afterbirth has even passed, the aunts take the baby to the wife, who has moved to Janine's bed, and the wife is then presented with Janine's baby and names it. While everyone fawns and fusses over the baby and the wife, they completely ignore and forget about Janine. Except for the handmaids, who can only offer her a hug and a bowed head at how much the situation sucks. Sexual repression. There is no sex in Gilead. Well, at least not officially. The ceremony is all the husbands get. Most men
Low status hasn't even been issued a woman.
haven't been issued a woman, and though it goes unstated in the show, in the book it's made quite clear there is no taking matters into your own hands. The men's pockets are even sewn shut to prevent this. And the higher-ups, the commanders, well, they never have sex with their wives. Begging the question, why not? I mean, they're married, in the faith, and the Bible is full of talk about how a man is supposed to lay with his wife. So why do the commander and Serena not get it on? It's because there's no point. This is a fundamentalist theocracy. Religion is the law, and since the wife can't have a child, it would be wasteful for a man to spill his fertile seed in her. To have intercourse without the possibility of procreation would be an act of lust. Yep, lust. Shameful, sinful lust. Sex without procreation is an act so carnal and primal, we should all be surprised that people having sex don't just burst into flames as they're dragged down to hell forever. Or some such bullshit. Gilead, in theory, was founded out of need. The world had to change to survive. And the population epidemic certainly did need to be addressed, but that does not call for the extremist, right-wing, ultra-conservative dystopia we see here. So why have they done things this way? Like I said earlier, there are better, more effective ways to deal with the problem that don't require slavery, rape, or shooting unarmed protesters. So why do this way? Because it's not about religion, and it's not about fertility. It's about suppressing and dominating women. Gilead is set after the fall of America as it is today. So let's look at some of the conservative talking heads on TV today. The ones that say they care about women's health, so that's why we're closing down 6 of 12 clinics in one city. Oh, but those clinics were, they were too small, according to this new law that we wrote last week. And they were unsafe, according to these 4 other laws that we wrote yesterday. Oh, those were the only 6 that would do abortions. What? They didn't hear you. And when asked about it, oh look, something shiny! All I'm saying is it is a very slippery slope, and there are similar situations here in Canada and in many, many, many other countries around the world, but it's a very slippery slope, and it is hard to back up. So, really, when you think about it, how far off is Gilead? Silence. Gilead is a place where silence has lease, and I give huge credit to the show for allowing this. Having silence in a movie or a TV show is kind of a huge no-no unless it's being used as a dramatic device to set up for a jump scare. It's the unwritten rule, no dead air. But there is a lot of silence in Handmaid's Tale. The show has no general score or underwriting background music or theme most of the time. There's very little background music unless it's being played in the scene or June is thinking the song to herself. One thing I found myself doing a lot while watching was turning up the volume, because almost everyone speaks in whispers, or in a soft, weird, fake, calm voice. The use of silence throughout the first season is superb, the lack of sound adding to an overall oppressive atmosphere. Remember Offred alone in her room? and she covers her mouth to stifle her laughter, because she can't be heard laughing or someone will ask why, and she can't answer that. Where silence has lease, every sound is intensified. It carries. Every word spoken can be heard. Remember, there are guardians and eyes literally everywhere. On every corner, walking up and down every street, driving around in vans. And they are always listening and reporting. And interesting note from real life. Just today, putting these on, I realized my own voice sounds much louder to me when I am wearing this because the shape of it is focusing the sound. And likewise, because it is over my ears, it is very hard to hear things around me. Also, walking around in this, not easy. I got up to close the window and I nearly fell down because I got up and turned and I had like nothing to look at because I can't see anything. Like, oh, I would go so Looney Tunes walking around in this. But remember, this thing intensifies the sound of my voice, making it easier for me to be overheard and harder for me to hear other people. So, how much of that is by design? Like a really twisted design. But when you think about it, have we been told any other reason for these things to exist? Ever? I'm InsaneLayne, and thank you for watching InsaneLayne Breaks Down Hulu's The Handmaid's Tale World Part 2. More soon. Bye-bye.